Well, first of all, it's fundamental as theory, obviously. It's one of the most deep theoretical insights you could have about the nature of the universe. If you think back to what we believe is the so-called origin of the universe from its initial state, it has to have been the case that something that is fairly uniform broke down into a disordered state, but then began ordering it. I can't put it better than that in a sense, but if that is so, then this is the fundamental law of nature. When Benedict Rattigan and I met in my laboratory in 2019, I didn't see the significance to the whole question of symmetry. And I think that's the insight for me that's come from this project, that symmetry between order and disorder, which is a very strange symmetry, isn't it? I mean, people like to think there's either disorder or there's order, but you need both? Well, yes, you do, and in very, very many different ways.
I had an idea that order and chaos somehow form a symmetry, but I've not been able to show precisely how they form a symmetry in fields like genetics, for example. I know that theoretically they must do. They must feed off each other. They must be mutually dependent at some very deep level, but I don't know how. And what Denis has been able to show me is precisely how.
I published a paper in 2017 that pointed out that organisms, you and me and all the various organisms that are on the planet, can actually use chance, which means that life itself lives, it seems to me, on the edge between order and disorder. I did not see the relation between order and disorder as one of symmetry. I was brought up on the central dogma of molecular biology, on the idea that genes make us what we are, that there's a kind of determinate process from the DNA through to the proteins through to us. And the idea that all of that is actually, put it bluntly, close to being a big mistake. One of the big conclusions, therefore, coming from this insight between order and disorder is even something as of practical importance as late-stage cancer, which is such a big killer in the world, depends on understanding the way in which organisms can harness chance to develop new ways of surviving and managing. And cancerous tissue does that just as we do with ordinary tissue. Even that issue, a huge practical one, depends on seeing this insight. Now, that has penetrated already into the biggest organization of researchers on cancer in the world. That is the American Association for Cancer Research. People have realized what we're onto is extremely important. I think this whole project of symmetry touches on the fundamentals of what the universe is about, why we're here, if there is a why at all, and so on. It couldn't be more profound.